How's your light? Because it's off there.
Do you want to turn on the ring light there?
Yeah, could you? We're on.
Good evening and welcome to the Tibet Center here at 502 North Ridgewood Road in South Orange, New Jersey. We'll begin by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you'll find in the FAQ section scrolling down on the Tibet Center website. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination, and at the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, no tremble, and falsity, and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known with truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed. Tayyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi, and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering and the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Now we generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And now we'll recite Om Mani Padme Hum. Imagining that we develop the wish to remove the suffering of others. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So as I said a few weeks ago, our recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra of compassion, is beneficial, is helpful to us. But our thoughts while we are reciting it are more important. And if we think of the suffering of others and we develop the wish to remove that suffering, if we think about compassion as being that wish to remove the suffering of others and provide them with happiness, that thought is most important. And compassion, we have to acknowledge that the suffering that we experience. To wish to remove the suffering of others without acknowledging, recognizing the state of suffering that we are in won't mean much. So that recognition of our suffering, the suffering of suffering, the sort of raw suffering that we experience, the suffering of change, the fact that even the pleasant things that we experience come to an end, leaving us in a state of unhappiness or dissatisfaction or suffering. And then the all-pervasive suffering of conditioned existence, which is the most subtle form of suffering, which we have to recognize. Recognizing our own suffering becomes the basis for developing the determination to get out of cyclic existence. And it is this most subtle quality of suffering that we have to recognize in order to truly develop that, let's say, spirit of renunciation, renouncing cyclic existence and seeking freedom from samsara. We recognize this in ourselves, and it is based on our recognition of our own state of suffering and recognizing our dependence on others for everything that we have, that we then develop true compassion towards them for the suffering that they are experiencing, which is the same as the suffering that we are experiencing. So those three aspects of cultivating compassion are really important. And if we can think about those while we are reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, that makes the recitation particularly powerful. And this cultivation of compassion is, we talk about compassion, a lot of compassion, but compassion is the essence of a true spiritual life, true spiritual practice. Yes, we know that the cultivation of wisdom is important, but that cultivation of wisdom without a sense of concern for others and a wish to remove their suffering is really lacking in the importance of what we should devote our lives to. And so this book, Beyond Religion, is essentially His Holiness the Dalai Lama's instruction on how to lead a compassionate life, free of any kind of religious connotations, but essentially what this is teaching us to do is develop this concern for others and develop the mechanisms, the techniques, the methods for actually acting upon that sense of responsibility towards others. And this book, we are now reaching the end of it in this class. The very, very last page, 183, the last sentence is, and above all, we should remember that the whole purpose of our practice is to become more compassionate human beings. That's what the whole practice is about. So the recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum is in itself important, but it is the sound, it is the vibration, it is the mantra of compassion, of this wish, this aspiration to remove the suffering of others. Compassion. Okay.
Very good.
So, we've reached the point in the book where His Holiness is instructing us on how to meditate, on how to actually work on ourselves, not in general terms, not in sort of theoretical terms, but how to actually sit and do our meditation. And he initially introduced us to a form of concentration or calm abiding, placing the mind on an object of focus. And we were using the image of the Buddha here, which you imagine about 4 feet in front of you, 2 feet tall, having a certain weight and having a certain glow. And you maintain it in your mind. And when your mind strays from it, you bring it back to this visualization. Now, you're not looking at it straight, you analyze it, you become familiar with it. And when you're meditating, you are holding this image in your mind. It's not the object of an eye consciousness, it's the object of the mind consciousness. And then His Holiness introduced us to different forms of analytical meditation. But let us, just as we review these, because these are meditations, it's not that we it's not that we do them once and then we've done with them. These are things that we have to do every day in order for them to become to change our minds, to become part of us. So a few things as we actually begin to engage in meditation. When we engage in meditation, we are working on changing the habitual nature of the mind. And that's not an easy thing to do. And we shouldn't expect it to be an easy thing. Working at catching the mind when it strays and bringing it back to the object of focus, enlivening the mind when it begins to sink, calming the mind down when it gets too excited. This whole process of watching the mind is a really difficult one, and it's not one that we should work towards immediately or expect to immediately master. This is something that we should really make part of our lives in a delicate, in a gradual and graceful manner. It is said that if you push too hard, you can go crazy. If you don't push yourselves, or if we don't push ourselves in a steady way, we can sink into a laxity that can be sort of like a little depression. And so we have to be extremely careful as we work on ourselves. We mustn't expect to accomplish calm abiding in the sort of strict sense. Very few will manage to do so in this lifetime. But if we work at introducing ourselves to these things, if we work at just bringing a little more discipline to our minds, those habits will carry on. And if we believe in future lives, those habits will accompany us into the future. We have to grow. We have to set the momentum in a positive direction, expecting that we will be able to resume this practice in the future. It's important. There are many of our spiritual practices that we have to engage in that way. Particularly this prayer that we just said, the generating bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is a goal that will take many lifetimes to achieve. It's a goal, it's a vow when we say, I generate today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. That is a vow. And that is a vow that we aren't taking for this life, or for this day, or for this hour. That is a vow that we are taking until we attain enlightenment. And so it's very important to do so in the spirit that we have to be able to carry on from life to life. The practices of concentration are the same. They will carry on from life to life. And we should think that way. I think that if we think that because we haven't managed to develop true calm abiding, the ability to remain focused on our object of concentration for 4 hours without any effort at all, if we think that not being able to achieve that in this life is failing in our practice, then there's a certain attachment, there's a certain pride, there's a certain ego involved in that ambition of developing that ability. While in fact, we should approach it with far more humility, expecting that it will take a long, 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 long time. Working on ourselves and being graceful with ourselves, because the mind, as I said before, is not something that we can push. We have to really carefully and gracefully, but with a certain discipline, develop the focus, the concentration that we seek. I'm going to just so in these meditations that His Holiness introduced us to, the first one was that of calm abiding. So let's just spend a little moment, first of all, concentrating on the breath, simply watching the breath go in and out. And you should do this at the beginning of every meditation that you engage in. When you bring the mind and the breath together, that calms you down. So you simply watch. This is not deep breathing exercises. This is just bringing the mind to the breath, watching the breath go in and out at the point of the nostril, or watching the abdomen go in and out as we breathe. So sit up straight. Your arms not out, not tucked, but comfortable with your right hand on your left, with your thumbs touching. Your spine straight. You are meant to look down the slant of your nose. Your tongue touching the top of your mouth. And simply watch the breath go in and out. And count as you go in and out. You count 1. In and out, you count 2. And if your mind wanders, when you've caught it, you bring it back and you start back at 1. Okay, we'll do this for 2 minutes. calm mind. Now, imagine the Buddha, the image of the Buddha, 4 feet in front of you. Consider that it has a certain weight to it, 2 feet tall and with a certain glow, and just try to maintain it in a general way. That is to say, not noticing the specific details of the image of the Buddha, but in a general way, try to keep it there in your minds. And when you see your mind go away, bring it back. We'll do this for 2 minutes. Okay. So, don't be disillusioned if your mind went this way and that. That's normal. When we are beginning something, we are beginners, and we shouldn't think, oh, I can't do this. No, we have to keep on doing it, work towards it. Don't work so hard that you get disillusioned with your practice and give it up. Do it a little bit, little short amounts. If you can do it a few times a day, short amounts, you'll begin to find that you can just hold on to it and keep it going a little bit more easily. And the fact that you notice that you can't do so is already, it's the beginning, it's the first step. Congratulations. We have to think of it that way. Okay. Another meditation that His Holiness introduced is one in which we choose someone we admire, a living person, non-living, someone who possesses true virtuous qualities, particularly compassion, and come to recognize, really acknowledge the qualities that this person possesses. What you're trying to do is, out of admiring those qualities, you're developing within yourself some kind of propensity towards those acting those ways. And watch in your mind the way this person behaves within situations of where his or her patience is challenged, and the way that person's humility or love for others, concern for others comes out. And again, recognizing the way that person behaves will help you develop those abilities yourself. So, one of the aims of this type of analytic mental training is to gain a direct appreciation of a given quality. In this case, we analyze what motivates people to devote themselves to others. Having identified this quality, we then focus on it and rest our minds on it as a way to unite ourselves with the quality through direct, intuitive insight into the compassionate motivation that is the ultimate object of this exercise. In other words, the idea is to train ourselves to act in our daily lives as the person we admire would act, so that when, for example, we become aware of others' suffering, we feel disposed to respond as this person would respond. We are thus seeking first to change our attitude towards others and then to change our behavior. So, think of someone, the 175. So, 175, oh sorry. So here, this is analytical meditation. So you're working at thinking through this process, coming to recognize, coming to admire, and through that admiration for the way in which this person behaves, feeling, begin to change your own way of reacting in situations. Okay, so we'll do this for 3 minutes. the next practice that is always taught, which we've done the last two sessions, is where you take a particular afflictive emotion that you experience, anger, attachment, and you work on it. You work at recognizing it. You work at or acknowledging it. You work at recognizing its negative effects, and then you work at applying the antidote. So we can do that. We can do a brief. So choose an affliction. It can be attachment, it can be anger, it can be jealousy, it can be pride. And then really analyze the negative effects it has on you, the negative effects it has on your environment, on the people around you, and then you work at, in your mind, applying the antidote. If you have anger, you work at cultivating patience, thinking about the negative qualities of anger and the benefits of being patient. You think about the laws of karma, whereby whatever it is that has caused you anger is due to your own past actions. You go through the reasoning that will counter anger. Attachment, you recognize your own attachment, you recognize the way in which it keeps you from being able to sleep at night, it keeps you unhappy. You recognize the way in which you will never fully satisfy attachment. Attachment is like drinking salt water. The more you want, the more you need. And then you apply the antidotes that counter attachment. So whatever affliction you wish to think about it and go through those three stages of acknowledging, recognizing, seeing the negative effects, and then applying the antidote. Do this for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so every time we begin one of these, concentrate on the breath again for just a moment. Bring the mind and the breath together, together, and then engage in the contemplative or analytical meditation. So the first meditation we did on recognizing the qualities of a particular person. We can really do this sitting on the subway, on the train, walking along. This is most people are watching their phones when they're sitting on the subway.
These days, yes.
This becomes a good practice to engage in. And this thinking about a particular affliction, it's also something, we don't have to do it in this very strict way, thinking about it this way. We can think about it again as we're sitting, recognize some quality, some negative quality within us, and see the ill effects it has on us, and then apply the antidotes. Obstacles to good mental cultivation practice, page 178. This is where we reached. It is only to be expected that to begin with, the practitioner of these kinds of mental discipline will experience many trials and difficulties along the way. So this is what I was saying, and it's important to acknowledge there are few worthwhile skills that can be achieved without a good deal of effort expended over a long period of time. In mental cultivation, the challenge is even greater, since not only is the goal of our endeavor mental, but both the medium through which we practice and the domain in which the practice occurs are also mental. So even advanced practitioners encounter obstacles. Now this is very important. This is preparing us for the fact that it's going to be difficult. The process of training the mind is difficult. For everyone, whether beginner or expert, in addition to the general problems related to motivation, there are two principal obstacles to good practice. One is distraction, while the other is laxity, or what we can call mental sinking. A beginner is likely to experience distraction first, the scattering of the mind as it chases after thoughts, ideas, or feelings, which keep it in an excited or agitated state and prevent it from reaching stability. Distraction may take the form of coarse excitement, in which the object of our practice gets lost altogether, or it may take a more subtle form, in which, although the object is not entirely lost, a corner of the mind remains preoccupied with something else, preventing us from attaining proper focus. So we can really see when we're engaging in that first meditation, or watching the breath, or focused on the image of the Buddha 4 feet in front of us, 2 inches high, having a certain weight. When we find that the mind has wandered off, or we find that we are still watching it, but we have other thoughts also. We're thinking of the things we have to do tomorrow, or the things that we didn't do well today. All of those, to have a good focus on the object of meditation, we have to work towards being free of any sort of superfluous thoughts. Even if we keep the object in the background, we have to be fully focused on the object. How we overcome these obstacles to good practice depends on our individual experience. Sometimes it will be enough to recollect our purpose in undertaking the mental cultivation. At other times, we may have to leave off whatever we are trying to practice and move on to some other exercise. Or we may do a short breathing exercise, or repeat a few words suitable to the occasion. This may be as simple as saying, I let go of my distraction, slowly and deliberately a few times. But sometimes we may need to break off the session and walk around the room for a few minutes. As usual, the important thing is not to become discouraged. Now, this last sentence, not to become discouraged. Don't push too hard. Don't be too hard on yourselves as you do this. And really, from the start, accept the fact that it's going to... Think of the piano. Think of taking up the piano. We are not going to become pianists right away. We have to learn our scales. We have to learn the notes. We have to practice. We have to do this slowly but steadily. And over time, eventually, we might be able to play a tune. We have to think of it as being as challenging, if not more challenging than that. The other major obstacle to successful practice, laxity or mental sinking, is what happens when the mind becomes too relaxed. We succeed in withdrawing from our habitual preoccupations and manage to free the mind from distractions, but then, because our energy is low or we are not alert enough, the mind sinks and we become, as it were, spaced out. These mental training exercises can be relaxing, but relaxation in itself is not the point of them at all. We need to cultivate and maintain a state of mind that is settled yet possesses alertness. In fact, prolonged habituation to a state that is relaxed but lacking in alertness can dull the sharpness of our minds. Now, when this dulling of the sharpness of our minds is not the dulling of the sharpness of our minds at the time that we are engaging in the practice, this is like the dulling of our minds forever. This is, in other words, being sloppy in our practice here can cause us to just develop a certain sloth and dullness that we will find within our mind stream, even when not meditating. How we overcome laxity will vary from person to person and from session to session. A short, brisk walk may be an effective remedy, or a few moments spent visualizing a bright light. For those with religious inclinations, briefly considering the surpassing qualities of some figure in their religious tradition may help. Another remedy is to imagine our consciousness springing up into space. Again, it's a question of whatever works best for the individual. In brief, if you find that your mind is a bit too downcast, this is an indication that the obstacle of laxity is beginning to surface. To counter this, you need to find a way of lifting up and activating the state of your mind. So here, this process that His Holiness is going into here is one in which you are really, it's like two valves, the one of countering excitement and the one at countering laxity. You have to maintain some part of your mind that is watching the process of concentrating and applying the counteraction to whatever it is that you're experiencing. And this is you know, we might think that meditation is one of just keeping the mind on one thing and that's it. No, we are trying to cultivate focus. We are trying to cultivate focus that doesn't get too excited. We are trying to cultivate focus that doesn't get too dull, and we are working at this process. Eventually, we have to actually diminish our preoccupation with watching the mind, because that also becomes an obstacle. We have to simply let the mind be focused on its object. And every once in a while, when we see it sink, bring it up. When we see it get excited, bring it down. But keep it on its object with a certain vitality. So maybe we'll end with this, the question of progress. In mental cultivation practice, as in any human activity, different individuals progress at different rates and reach various levels of accomplishment at different times according to their age, physical condition, intellect, and other factors. Some, whose powers of introspection are powerful, will quickly learn to spot the onset of either distraction or laxity, and take measures to prevent the full development of either. Others will take longer to do so. In either case, this should not be a cause of either pride or sorrow. Instead, whenever obstacles arise, we should maintain an attitude of humility and seek to overcome them without anger. Now, this is I think that reading this paragraph to ourselves as we engage, every once in a while, to really remember this is not a race, this is not competition with someone else, this is me working on my mind. And every step that I make or take along the process of developing a little more control over my mind is wonderful. If someone else does it more effectively or less effectively, has nothing to do with us. We're working on ourselves, and that's, I think, a very important attitude to remember as we engage in this. Any comments? Any?
This is very technical, actually. It doesn't look like it, but it's very good advice. The little balance going on internally. It's so easily stated, too, isn't it? So stored. Nicely written. The point you made also about this laxity becoming a quality of the mind in general, not just when you sit down. That's a big deal. Some say it's even a cause for rebirth in the animal realm. One of the calm abiding texts mentions it. It's pleasant. It comes on like it's your friend. Relax. Oh yeah, but you're really drifting into ignorance. Sad. You have to be on your toes.
Well, excitement is a quality of our minds now.
Excitement
It's a quality of...
Yeah, it's a derivative of what, attachment, they say, supposedly.
It's not just a quality of our mind, it's a quality that overwhelms us and leads us to...
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of like just doing nothing means that you have are not dominated by excitement. It's kind of our default state. Probably for most people, for me certainly, but I think probably for most people it's our default
It could
state.
be lassitude, though.
I'm sure there are people for whom that's their default state, but I think like in the modern world, excitement is probably the default.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
The millennial world, maybe. Everything's so digital and so quick, maybe that's why it's...
But there, a
Like
lot of
it's
people are
usually-
depressed, and depression
Yes.
is a sinking of the mind, and we all seek excitement from these contraptions that we live with. What is today, the 28th? But whatever it is, whether it is excitement, whether it is lethargy or laxity or sort of a depressed state, when we are meditating, we should really work at countering and we all have a bit of both. Okay. So, Darren, are there any names that we are to remember?
Sebastio Salgado,
Oh, yes.
Dennis Pauly.
And Mary MacArthur had, hold on, the 15-year-old Palestinian boy.
Salgado,
Hold on.
Dennis Pauly,
I have a name. Chris Varghese.
Chris Varghese,
Amar Rabi. Amer Rabi.
Amer Rabi,
From
David
New-
Parnes.
David what?
Parnes.
David Barnes. Okay, so we shall read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels, thinking of them. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. His body blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of Nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His body is incomparable. He's not stayed by the realm of desire. He's not stayed by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He's completely liberated from suffering. He's completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He's completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He's liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavat, who will arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent, its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted, it is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It's free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavat is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously, they are worthy of veneration with joined palms, they are worthy of receiving prostration, they are a field of glorious merit, they are completely capable of receiving all gifts, they are an object of generosity, they are a great object of complete generosity, the protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. Eight verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. And the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as life illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Now a prayer for the swift return of Trungpa Rinpoche. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of those wearing saffron robes, Guru Lobsang Tugwan Goje-chan, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast ways of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you to seek the existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel. Return as the glory of Losang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face.
Thank you very much.
And this Saturday here at 1 o'clock, there will be a White Tara Puja. All are welcome. You can take the train from Penn Station at 12:10, I think it is. Is that right? Leslie, do you know the
12:11.
12:11. Get off at Mountain Station, and it's a 5-minute walk up the hill.
And refreshments are served.
and refreshments are served. So do join us on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. Well worked.